Blessed day, guys, and peace be upon you this morning. So in this video, we're going to learn how to configure DHCP server on a route, on a Cisco route. Okay, so we're going to use this topology to demonstrate the configuration. All right. Okay, so I'll open Google spreadsheet. I'll let you know that today we're doing number 5, part 1, DHCP server on a route. Okay. All right. So this sample topology, we're going to create a DHCP for IT department and HR department. Okay, you can see here it's IT department with the respective network, HR department with the respective network, right? Okay, so without any further ado, I'll open our notepad to guide us on what to do. All right, so the first step is always to draw the necessary topology, decorate, and comment. So this is a very simple topology. You can see I drew it using 2911 router and 2960 switches, and I put 3 computers in each department, right? And each switch is connecting to the route, right? Okay, so let's go to step 2 to save time. Configure IP addresses to the router's interfaces. So we're going to configure IP address to this router interface and this router interface. And for us to configure IP address to this interface, we are going to use this network. For us to configure IP address to this interface, we have to use this network, right? And this interface, the IP address of this interface will act as the default gateway of HR department. The same case applies on the other side. The IP address of this interface should act as the default gateway of this department, right? Okay, so let's start. We're going to configure IP address here and here. So the first step is always to identify the interfaces. You have to identify the interfaces. Just put your cursor over that blinking interface. You can see it's gig 00, and this one is gig 01. So gig 00 should take IP address of 1.1/24. Gig 01 should take 2.1/24. Okay. All right, so let's go here, come to CLI and say no and enable config T, then interface gig 0/0. It should take the first IP address in this network, IP add 192.168.1.1, and the subnet mask, don't forget 255.255.255.0. okay, and you can see by default the router's interfaces are in shutdown state, so we have to turn them up. Just say no shut and you hit enter. That's all. Exit. Then we come back to this interface, which was interface gig 01. Okay, the first thing, we assign it IP address of 2.1 according to this network. Very simple. And let's turn it up, no shut, and that's all. Exit and do right to save the configuration. All right, so let's go back to our notepad to do step 3, which is to create DHCP pools, assign network addresses, default gateway, and DNS address. Guys, for us, we remember this class basically is for DHCP server configuration on a route. For us to configure DHCP server, then we have to create what's called DHCP pools, because from that pool that the host computers will be able to get their IP addresses. So we're going to create the pools and create the networks in the pool so that the computers in the network can use that pool to extract or to get their IP addresses. Okay. All right. So how do we create pools? So in this topology, we are going to create 2 pools. One pool for IT department, another pool for HR department. So let's start with the pool for IT department. Very simple. Okay, So before you begin DHCP server configuration on a router, always make sure that you enable that service. Although it's enabled by default, but in some devices, in old devices, maybe it's not enabled. So just make sure that it's enabled. Okay, just write this command: service DHCP, and that's all. That's you've enabled that service, DHCP service. Now let's create the pools. So just say IP DHCP pool IT, give it the name as per the department. Okay, IT adept pool, one word separated with hyphens, sorry. Okay, all right, and we hit enter. Then we are now in IT department pool. So let's assign network. Remember here we were told that we assign network, default gateway, and DNS. So let's assign network. We assign this network. Okay, so we just say network to be 192.168.1.0. okay, with a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0/24 notation, and we hit enter. Then we go back to our notepad to say we assign default gateway and DNS. So guys, here is what brings the changes. If you do here wrongly, you want to get the desired configuration. The default gateway in this case should be the IP address of this connecting interface, the interface that is connecting to IT department. Very simple. So just say default route. In DHCP, it's normally called default route. It's 192.168.1.1. You can remember it was 1.1. Okay, all right, and you hit enter. Then here also you can see we configure DNS address. In this case, just let's make DNS address to be the same as default route, default gateway, no problem. Okay, so just say DNS to be 192.168.1.1, and we hit enter. And now we are done for IT department pool. So let's go to HR pool. Just say IP DHCP HR depth pool, and we hit enter. Sorry, IP DHCP pool. You have to write this command, IP DHCP pool, then you give the name of the pool. Okay, all right. So let's assign the network for HR. HR was HR is just say network. It was 2. Yes, the network is 2.0. okay, the network is 2.0, and the default gateway, just the default router there, just said that's just write default and hit tab. It will complete the commands for you, right? Okay, so the default router should be the IP address of this interface. Okay, this connecting interface, and this interface add IP address of 2.1. very simple. So just say 192.168.2.1 and you hit enter. DNS, as per now we're just making DNS to look like the default route. Okay, all right, so it's 192.168.2.1 and you hit enter, exit. So let's go back. Number 4, exclude ranges of IP addresses that should not be assigned dynamically. Remember, in the network we might have some IP addresses excluded because we want to assign them to some networking devices statically, and we don't want DHCP server to lease all of them to computers or any host devices. So that's why we need, it's a good practice to exclude some addresses in every network. Okay, because there might be a need to configure our devices statically. Okay, all right, so how do we do that? Because before I do that, let's just go to any device to test DHCP. Remember, we've not excluded, so DHCP will start giving IP address from 1.2, because you can remember 1.1 was taken by this interface, so it will start giving from the next one, which is 1.2. So if I go to this computer, come to desktop, I come to IP configuration and say DHCP. Just give it some time. You see, DHCP successful 1.2, and default gateway is just that one, and the DNS is just the same. So 1.2, meaning as per now we've not excluded any IP address. Even if I come back to HR department and do that, it will start from 1.2, 2.2, because it's the first immediate one. Okay, all right, so let's exclude and come back again and try to request IP addresses. So let's try to exclude. First we exclude for IT department. Just say IP DHCP excluded addresses. Excluded address from 192.168.1.1 then space 192.168.1 to 10. So this means that I want my DHCP server to give IT department computers IP addresses from 1.11, because from 1 to 10 is excluded. It should never give out. Okay, the same should apply for HR department. So I'll just change this one to 2, also this 2.1. Okay, and I hit enter and do right. So if I come back here again in the same computer, to turn it back to the static and do DHCP, you see it's starting from 0.11 now, because we have excluded the best practice. Very, very important to include the best practice there. Okay, all right. Okay, so even if I go on this side also, I come back to static and DHCP again, it should from 2.11. Very, very simple, guys. So basically I believe this video has really helped you know how to configure DHCP server on a router. You create pools, you assign network address, you assign default router or default gateway, DNS server, and you exclude the range of IP addresses that you don't want that DHCP server to assign automatically. So I'll mark that. Okay, so I'll just, in the next class we're going to do DHCP server configuration on layer 3 switch, so that we can mark that class as done. So thank you so much, guys. Please subscribe to my channel, like this video, share with friends, and drop a comment below. Thank you so much, and let's see you again in the next class. Bye.